Welcome to episode 3 of the RFL / Indie Sports podcast. I'm Dan White Fox McLaughlin, joined today with my brother Jameson and cousin Barry, aka Doughboys. How you doing, Barry?
Good to see you guys. Good to see you, Seep.
You
and
too, Barry.
Special guest, as you just heard, is Jeff Sepiol, 3-time RFL champion. In the house, Zionsville native. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, our pleasure. So today we're gonna let Seep kind of fill us in from his perspective of the RFL and just go over some things. And like we have the last couple of weeks, starting from the beginning, let's start from the beginning, the genesis of Seep Dog's entry into the RFL. So, what year was that? What do you remember? What do you remember about the beginnings, Jeff?
Well, my first year of actually owning a team, if you will, was 2002. But I joined the league, I believe it was 96, and the draft, I think it was on a Friday, like at 7 o'clock at night on Friday, somewhere in there. And super stoked for it, excited. Had never been in a league before, but I had friends that had. And I had just gotten a new job, and could not get off work. So I remember, and one thing you have to know is McDermott's and I've known them since the beginning of basically my memory. We went to preschool together.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, right. So maybe a handful of times they've gotten really mad at me about something, but it's very rare, and vice versa. But this was one of those times.
Oh yeah.
And this, there was no texting. I think there was texting, maybe.
Maybe pagers.
Yeah, something.
The pager
But
era.
everything was done by phone call. I had to be by a
911.
phone
Fax
to
it,
do the
please.
draft.
Yeah.
And I think they were calling and, just said, oh, my God, he's not coming. They were pissed. I'm sure everybody was. So I was blacklisted. I mean, they told me straight up, you can't play. You're not going to be in the league.
So this is 96. Let me make sure we've got this straight.
I think it is.
I forget. I did
I'm
not
like
remember
99%.
this.
I don't remember any of this either.
Yeah.
But
So you're invited into the league. You're supposed to be at the draft. You can't make it because of work, and so then you're out of the league.
That's correct.
Oh my God! Do you remember maybe who we had in the league instead? Then at that, who got plugged in?
No, maybe Muha?
You got to go way back. That was, does anybody remember Andy Smith in this room?
Yes.
Andy
He
Smith
was
lived with
definitely,
us,
I
Barry.
think he was one.
And his boy, Sean Ring, was the emergency fill-in for Sepiol that day.
Really? Who? Tell us who's that, Barry? Explain who that is a little bit more.
Well, to know Sean Ring, you need to know Andy Smith. And to know Andy Smith, you need a 15-minute segment on this podcast.
Andy Smith. He
Okay.
was our roommate at one point, B-Ray.
96. That's back in the Ball State kind of days, right?
71st in Georgetown.
I don't
before
think
Sweaty Mike.
for us, that was graduation year. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because that's year 2 or maybe year 3 that we're talking about.
That's right.
Okay. So you should have been in the league from early on.
Yeah.
All right. So what else? Was there any more blowback from that day, that night, or did the McDermotts they just wrote you off?
Yeah, and you know what? To their credit, after it was over, there was no blowback. They had forgotten about it. I hope on purpose.
Surprise.
But
I think they're just kind people, and they were probably pissed in the moment and just forgot
Right.
about it.
Right.
They're some of the nicest dudes I know.
Absolutely.
I can't imagine there was nobody giving them hell at the draft either. Like, come on, Devo, where's your buddy, man? Like, what the hell?
Yeah, no doubt.
that's surprising. I mean, Barry, you were there. There was it was a normal.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I think it was a little bit after 96. I remember being at the Slippery Noodle. So that had to
Okay.
have been 99, 2000, something like that.
Oh, really? So, yeah, see, well, there you go. I'm
And
almost 50, so.
Muha and Tommy were there, and it was a bit of a shit show, as you can imagine. And then, the next day it was just a normal draft. We just had to emergency plug in Sean Ring,
The emergency plug-in.
Andy Smith's BFF, the ginger softball player. Second base, I want to say.
Okay. So that's hilarious. I didn't know. I think that's right around when I came in the league too. Is right around that
Yeah,
time.
yeah. I think you were in the league before me.
I was, yeah, for sure.
Um,
Or at least before you got in the second time. Definitely.
Right,
Not
right.
before that, maybe, but yeah, before you were
The-
re-invited. Unless you've got more on the previous topic.
No,
How did the actual you're really in the league happen?
well, that's funny. That's what I was going to say. I think it was because Muha crapped out some way, shape, or form. And I got the call, and that was it. The rest is history.
Yeah, I never remember Muha being real reliable year to year. Like, it was always like, is this the year that Muha is definitely done? And I think, did Muha and Gra both piece out on the same year? Like,
No, I think Gra, it wasn't the same year. Was Gra in the league when you started, Seep?
I thought maybe they were sharing a team.
The old shared
The
team.
megaton nuclear warheads. Does that ring a bell?
Gra quit the year after I lit his ass up at the draft.
I was there for that.
I think that's the year that he moved to Florida, too. I think you drove him all the way to Florida.
I think you almost
drove
made him
out of
cry
town.
that day. Who did he pick that had just like blown his knee out?
Was it Garrison Hurst?
I believe so. That's exactly right. Yeah. Garrison Hurst and
Well, I did that 2 years ago.
yeah,
Yep.
who
The Baltimore Raven had just
Yeah.
done it in preseason.
Oh yeah.
Earlier that day, he did it.
Yeah, it happens, man.
Yeah.
It happens, but I can't remember it was at somebody's apartment, maybe a McDermott apartment, and Graw picks that guy, and Jameson just
It was in that apartment that I had with Mikey, and if you remember, there was that little back office room,
yeah,
and Graw just spent the rest of the day in there by himself, just on his hands and knees.
sad. I think that was like right around the time when it was like, I believe it was Tommy who was the first person to ever go receiver in rounds 1-2, and it was like I think that was the same year, was it not?
Nah, Muha was the receiver.
Was he?
Yeah.
I cannot believe you guys. Marvin Harrison and Randy Moss
That we let him have him.
down there in the swing in 14
You
and
sure
15.
that wasn't Tommy T?
No, I'm pretty sure that was Muha.
Really? Okay.
It sounds
my
like
God,
both of them.
you guys.
All right. So what else about your first year in the league? What do you remember? Anything?
I think my first year in the league, I won the division. I think I went to the Rhodey Bowl my first year, I think, without looking. I know I went 9-4 2 years in a row, my first 2 years.
What was your original team name? Do you remember?
I thought the Bourbon Knights.
Yeah, I don't know that.
Okay, I see Bourbon Knights. This is in 2002.
Yeah.
Bourbon Knights, boys, 9-4, a 6.92 winning percentage, 901 points for, 784 against, won the division, beating the Crouching Bionic Canines by 2 games. No big deal. Let's see. Jameson won the division that year, big time.
Yeah, but
Beat me. Actually, I was second in the division that year, and the Thoroughbreds 3-10 that year. Lost 5 in a row at the end. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. All right, so 2002, yeah, you just come in hot.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that might have been the who's the big running back for the Chiefs that killed it for like 3 years?
Priest Holmes.
Priest Holmes.
Yeah, you had him, huh?
I think I had him.
I'm looking here. You lost in the Rhodey Bowl to the Riverside Pit Bulls. Look at this score. It was you lost 51-22. Those were
Those were the days.
High scoring affair.
Game correct with that 22.
yeah,
Deuce.
yeah, that's funny.
Everything evolves.
Yeah. So, all right. So then what? You're in the league. Got any other memories or comments about year one or early years?
No, not really. We were still getting together for a draft then, or they were. So I know I had a good 4 years or so, or 5, where I always made it to the draft to Indy, and it was just
Yeah.
I would always
Where were you living then?
Crown Point.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
Got-
Crown Point and Louisville.
What was down in Louisville? Work?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Okay.
The good old Hooters days.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's right. You were a manager at Hooters, right?
Yeah, I was with them for 17 years.
Dang.
Yeah. I'm currently on my 3rd job.
Uh-huh. Is that where you met the wife?
No, high school.
High school.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, this topic will be for all of us. Unless you have anything else to add about your not so humble beginnings. You came out swinging.
I did, but I think I took a shit pretty quick. I
That happens.
actually started a spreadsheet because I wanted to go back to 2001 when the Rhodey Bowl
Yeah.
was inaugural, and it's a bitch. I got to 2011, so I wanted to track everyone's winning percentage and
Yeah.
championships just all on one deal. And because all 3 of you in this room changed your names a lot back then, it made it a shit show to do.
I think
Yeah, I did-
everybody
I did
has
change
changed
my-
their names many
Yeah,
times.
Until I won
Except
my
for you.
first one. Yeah, until I won my first one.
But,
Barry, have you been the Doughboys the whole time?
No, for a minute though.
Hmm.
Don't sleep on the mystery machine.
But nevertheless, so I got to 2011, and I can say that McDermott's have the best winning percentage so far through to 11. Miz is 3rd. Brain is 4th.
If you remember, you go back and look at some of that stuff, though. The McDermotts do always set themselves up so they never play each other. Like, they would always put themselves in separate divisions.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
there's always some kind of shenanigan where Devo and D-Dog could just kind of both make it to different places and not play each other.
I wonder if that's actually true or just perceived.
Well, the 2 of you have always been in
Same division.
the same division.
Right.
Oh, okay.
I think,
yeah,
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Three of
you're
us.
right.
All 3 of us, yeah.
Yeah.
Put the McLaughlins together. They just, they put us in a room together and let us just
Yeah,
beat each other.
you're like the Big Ten.
Yeah. Right.
And then Tatro, and then like JMO, you and I are next, like
Middle.
tied. But I'll get through it eventually and send it to you. So
Yeah,
you have
my
something
my
to
stats
chat
get
about.
way better in the last 10 years.
So do mine. Yeah, yeah.
I basically dominate.
Oh, boy.
It's not a big deal. All right, so RFL, man, in my opinion, brings out the best and the worst in all of us. So, question is, what do you love about the RFL, and what don't you love so much about the RFL? Is there anything that stands out to you with that question?
What stands out?
Or any of you, Barry, Jamie, any of you?
I think just staying in touch with everybody is obviously the best thing about it. Like, yes, we are hateful to each other, but it does keep you in touch with a bunch of people that you do love and
No doubt.
you've always been friends with. I mean, that's the number one thing I love about it. Obviously, competition. I love anything that has competition.
Yeah.
I love to talk shit, in case anybody's never picked up on that.
Yeah, use shit talking.
But yeah, I mean, just keeping in touch with people I've known for a long time, family, friends. That's easily the best part.
True.
I agree. I agree with that for sure. And now, 10 years ago, we kept in touch for 16 weeks or 18 weeks, however long. And now it's a year-round
Yeah.
string, and we're communicating all the time. So
Mm-hmm.
that's been great about it. I agree with you, JMO, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Barry, anything for you?
Nope, I don't think so.
I'd say like my favorite thing. Thank you, Barry.
Deep thoughts from Barry.
Why I'm here. You're welcome.
Don't underestimate the bus or whatever. My favorite thing about the RFL is the competition for sure. Like when you win a championship or you win your division or you win on any given week, man, you're literally beating some of the most intense, codependent fantasy football players around. Like when you win our league, you've done something, in my opinion.
I agree.
You're,
I agree.
You're either a fanatic or you're just really good at your fantasy football job, you know? I mean, there's some luck involved, obviously, injuries and what have you, but you got to navigate around that to win a championship, you know? And obviously having a good relationship with Brain, as we discussed last week, is important because he is the broker of the league. So there's a lot of factors that go into it. But, yeah, our league is very so competitive and so you just have to navigate so well all the different aspects of it, the waiver wire, the trading, you know, the in and out, the drafting. I kind of wish we were an auction league, but the Snake League kind of takes out the a little bit of that skill, but that still takes some skill too. You know, when do you reach for a guy, et cetera. So
I agree. The fact that it's 14 teams, I love.
Exactly.
A lot of people complain about that outside of our league and say that they would never be in a league that big. But when you have that coupled with 13 other of the most competitive people, I think it is really, I'd be hard-pressed to find another league that is harder than ours to win a championship.
agree.
Yeah,
Agree.
14 teams is rough. Like, you have to know the back end of every NFL roster that's out there. Like, who's their fourth and fifth receiver, who's their second. I mean, you better know second and third string running backs, because between Barry and Jason Williams, they're going to take 15 of those.
Right.
So, I mean, you have to know your whole NFL to be good in this league.
I agree.
Who is KJ Osborne? You have to ask yourself that. How many targets is he going to get this week?
Gio Bernard at least going to get 80 this year.
Yeah.
Did you ever pay that bet, Danny?
Yeah, I think so. I think somewhere
He
right
did.
down the line.
You know, you mentioned Brain, and I'll tell you this about Brain. Love everyone in this league, like brothers. Even if someone comes in for the first year, I know they're what type of person they are to be invited by any of us here. But Brain, tell me if I'm crazy, I think he kind of shifts the draft from time to time, or different periods in the draft, because we know, well, if this foils, I'll somehow get a trade through him somewhere, some way, shape, or form. And it's almost like insurance. And he's an insurance guy, so it's he's here for us, man.
Yeah, we discussed last week that he's the Russian arms dealer of the RFL, and so you can always get some black market player from Big Brain.
Exactly.
You just gotta. I mean, he's good. That's his thing. If the trade deadline went through the end of the Super Bowl, Brain may win it.
Yeah.
I think it hurts him that it ends.
I don't
at 10.
think there's any doubt he'd have a championship by now if the trade deadline went all through the whole thing.
Yeah, because he could trade into good weeks constantly.
He's had some good seasons, and like I said, through 2011, he's right up at the top.
Well, he makes playoffs almost every year.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything that we don't love, or are we afraid to say that? Like,
When the season's over.
yeah.
It's typically about week 8 for me. That was fun, fellas. I'll see you next year.
Not your undefeated season.
I wish it wasn't in the fall, because freaking the fall's.
Soccer.
Yes, the kid
Yeah.
with my 3 damn kids and the high school team and just everything. It's mass chaos.
Aren't
And I
the
know
boys they're in the fall,
they're
yeah.
in the fall? Yeah.
Yeah.
By like mid-October, I'm about to die. Just I can barely get out of bed. But I mean, the time commitment. I wish I could give more time to the RFL, but like 4 years from now, it should be good.
Well, that's good for us for the next 4 years.
Exactly.
But in 2028, watch out, because Jameson is coming
Here I
correct.
come.
Is that when all the kids graduate?
That's when Sadie, at least, I'll have only 2, and they'll
Right.
both be in high school. So
Right.
Oh, and then it'll be so much easier.
it will. They won't have club plus me going to high school plus Sadie doing it. Yeah. I'll show you my schedule sometime, Barry. You're going to be like, yeah, that is a little nuts.
All right. Well, first championship. So everybody in this room has at least one championship. Actually, Sep, I think you have 3, right?
I do.
So what do you remember? What years?
I I think they were. It was like every other year for the first two. I think my last one was, I have no idea, 2019.
I see
Did
you
I
have
win
you
13, 16, and 19 or something?
have you have one in 16, and there's on the website there's some missing championship fill-ins here. So 13, 16, and then I don't know when the other one would be. Maybe would you say 18 or no, and maybe 19 because it's not filled in.
Might be 19.
But so you've got 3. JMO, you've got 1.
Uno.
What year was yours?
I don't remember.
His was
honestly.
like
98.
Yeah, it was
So
a long time ago.
it's been a minute.
Yeah, it has.
That schedule.
Barry, you have 2.
Correct.
What can you tell? What is there anything special about one of yours?
Yeah. All right. Well, I've been waiting for this moment.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have the mic now.
Yes. Go ahead. What's so special about one of yours?
Oh, it's Brett Favre was the special thing. I mean, God bless him. As you'll recall, 15-0 going into Sunday Night Football with down 3 points with Edgerrin and Vanderjagt.
And
Vanderjagt gets 1 extra point. Down 2.
was that the week that his father was sick or something?
Oh, he died in the car accident. So then
Yeah.
his Monday night
It's a
playing was in
miracle.
question.
A miracle.
New York Jet, Brett Favre.
You know,
and-
my first one, I do remember something.
Yeah. What do you remember?
I think it was my first one. It was like Christmas. We were with my family in Christmas and watching the last game of the week for the championship. We tied. I think it was Tatro and I, and we had to go to bench points.
Ooh.
And that's how I won.
No kidding.
Yeah.
The
That's
old
crazy.
bench
Was
point.
that prior to decimal point scoring?
Oh yeah. that
I
had to be.
think so, yeah.
It's amazing how often we'd have ties back in the day.
Well, we still have ties with decimal point. I think we had one last year, didn't we?
That's crazy. I think I beat somebody last year by like a tenth of a point or less or something, like a couple yards. Incredible. So that first championship, I know I won in 2009 and 2020. I am the COVID champion, which I feel like is special because all anybody had to do that year was sit around and geek out over their fantasy team. And so I feel like winning that year, I'm basically
you're really neat.
basically a Jedi.
Really, really neat. That made you extra special.
But so the first one I won though, man, it was like a snowstorm, and I remember getting in my car during a snowstorm and like driving up to the north side. I think the McDermotts lived in the Broad Ripple house. Remember that
Yeah.
by your house?
Yep.
And I was like driving around trying to find the trophy or something, and for some reason couldn't get it, and but didn't get it for a couple days later. But I was like, it was such a relief to get that monkey off the back, man. Because like I said, we get so into this that like it just stresses you out. I know, Barry, you and I have spent years driving around in our cars with our sales jobs just talking for hours about draft position and who we're going to take in the first round and the second round. It's just so stupid. So, but it's amazing as a grown man to have something like that mean so much and to like actually be such a weight of stress off of you to actually win one. God, and like we talked about, was it last week, how the people who don't have one, I feel sorry for them.
I don't even know who they are. I don't associate with inferior people.
They are all officially blocked on my text thread. So
Yeah.
Do you think they all have their own text thread?
Non-champ thread.
let's start one and then we'll remove ourselves from it.
Well, you can't start that thread and no one can be removed from there.
Yeah, we don't need to go down that rabbit hole, Dan.
Stupid Samsung.
All right, so let's talk. We haven't done draft order this year, so we don't know, obviously which draft, where we're picking. But let's talk draft nights, strategies, rituals, general stories from draft nights. Sep, do you remember your first draft, like in person with people?
Seep, don't call him Sep.
Seep.
Yeah. First draft I was at. Well, I think it was the first year. It was 2002. I think it was the. It was a house McDermott's rented when D-Dog was working for Red Bull.
It was
Oh,
like
yes.
71st and Georgetown, right?
Yeah.
Pike
yeah.
Township.
Yeah.
Me and Mikey and Jamie were right around the corner.
Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, I'll tell you, I used to come in on Friday. The draft used to be on Saturday, didn't it? I don't know. I always tried to come early.
Yeah,
Just-
draft was Saturdays.
Yeah. And I would just get lit. I mean, the whole weekend. I mean,
No doubt.
As you mentioned that is D-Dog working at Red Bull. That is when Red Bull first hit the scene, right?
that's
Yeah.
right.
And he was driving around in that big old Red Bull van, and we were on that house stocked as much Red Bull as we wanted. I remember being there and just
That was amazing.
drinking 16 to 18 Red Bulls.
Yeah, the last thing a
Doing a little
McDermott
this,
needs
doing
is a freaking can of Red Bull, and he had it at his disposal nonstop.
Oh, it was the best thing ever. It was unlimited refills of Red Bull, as much as you wanted.
Heart palpitations.
Right.
Yeah. Early draft days, I remember when the McDermotts would get a giant, I don't even know where they got it, like this giant sheet of paper
Mm-hmm.
and put it on a wall. You remember that? Like it would take up this giant wall.
Yeah, yeah. I remember I was walking to that wall like I just got Priest Holmes.
Yeah.
I think I had the 4th pick, and I couldn't believe he was still there.
Well, I think
Priest
that was
Holmes.
back in the LaDainian Tomlinson years.
Oh,
Those,
yeah.
Those two guys were just, they're fantasy gods, LaDainian and Priest.
Right.
Yeah. So, strategies, and you got it, like you had brought up strategies to me when we were talking about doing this. You got some special sauce?
You know, I've tried several different things, and I always, recent years, 4 years or so, go back to the same deal. Like, I've done 2 running backs, done 2 wide receivers. I've done take the quarterback late in round 15 or 12 or whatever. I always come back to get the best first 9 players I can get. And so it's usually running back first, wide receiver second, quarterback third, tight end fourth, and so on. And then after that, whatever, maybe best running back available or best player available out of the other 3 positions.
So do you like to have a running back, receiver, quarterback, tight end at first 4 picks?
Yes. Yes, I do. I want the best scores I can get off the bat and hope I scave injury.
Good to know.
But I always have brain there in case one of my guys gets hurt.
Broker a deal.
Right,
No doubt.
right.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by the pick the quarterback late, but we still have 6 points for a throwing touchdown. So until that changes, and I'm not saying I want it to change, I really don't want anything to change, but if it ever were to change, then I would probably go there.
So go with the
Quarterback late,
quarterback
round
late.
10, 11, 12, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I have a hard time these days taking a quarterback early. It just I never like because what I'll do is I'll just do a bunch of $10 drafts, for the first couple months leading up to our draft. Best
A
ball
couple?
leagues. Couple of hundred.
The last few years, he's
I've
tamed it
dialed it
down a
back.
little bit.
Tamed it down to the 20s to 30s.
Well, I'll do $10 leagues best ball, so you don't have to manage them.
Right.
Right.
So it's just I like to draft. I love to draft. But so after you've done a handful of drafts, you kind of get a feel for how things go. But I always like my teams how they look better when I take a quarterback late.
I do too. I feel like I've fared better when I've had a better across the board, a
Yeah.
better chance to score.
But I will say I took a quarterback in round 4 or 5 last year. Jalen Hurts, not a big deal.
Are you doing a 2022 roster bait right now? Seriously?
The season you didn't win, right?
Yeah.
But Jalen Hurts was awesome, though. He was
Let's
really
talk
good.
about Danny's 2022 RFL team,
I made
shall we?
made the
Let's look
Final
that up.
Four, lost in the semis.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
What about Barry? Let's hear your draft strategies. Just basically running backs or
Best available.
Best available.
Auto drafter,
We've
Let's
never had
call
an
it.
auto drafter, have we?
which I like.
I think the McDermotts would lose their mind if there was an auto drafter, but I feel like I could auto draft and be better than what I've been the last.
They'd be
8 to
kicked
10
out of the
years.
league for sure. Whoever did that. Jamie, you got any special?
No, I just try to look who I'm drafting around because sometimes the
Yeah.
people that you're sitting above and below you, you have to like take into account what's the history of that person.
That's true.
Because sometimes you have to take that running back that you would rather wait.
True. If Barry's right there.
Barry or Jason Williams is right there.
Good to know I'm in your head.
But I've been so almost dropped the first one. Been so screwed by quarterbacks in the last 2 years ago. I think I was on my 5th quarterback because everyone that I had was out for the season. So there's part of me that's like, yeah, I get wait for a quarterback, but man,
Right.
my seasons have been ruined by quarterbacks the last 3 or 4 years.
RFL's weird with like that. Like if you want a good quarterback, you got to take him in the first 2 rounds. Period. Because somebody's going to. I mean, who won last year? Devo. He had Mahomes. You know.
Mahomes.
Yeah. All right. Any general stories from over the years just that stick with you?
I have none.
Barry. Any good Chip stories?
Are you talking about Chip the dog?
Chip the dog. Barry is Chip's father.
Chip is my son.
All right. Any
I mean,
other?
the last draft, he got so twisted up with all the second hand that just went
PETA.
all over the kitchen. Like this is a little 12-pound dog, and that was like freaking German Shepherd shit.
Oh my God.
Like him and Tommy were.
I was
don't
going to
know,
say, you
doing
sure he
something in the
didn't get
garage.
some beer somewhere on the ground? Like, it's very possible.
That was a couple of drafts ago, but yeah,
That's when Tatro and Mizwicki were in town, right?
correct.
Oh my gosh, I loved seeing those guys, and I loved seeing Tatro halfway passed out on a chair with a box of pizza on his.
It was
belly.
it was a pizza box with a bunch of wings on it.
Yeah.
Or yeah, that's what it was. And a bunch
Soiling
of
his
shit on
White
his
Sox
shirt.
jersey.
Yeah, it was like a $200 freaking White Sox jersey. He just had
Yeah.
shit all over it.
Mikey brought that up on the text chain the other day and got Tatro all heated. It got weird for a minute.
Surprise.
Love you, Tatro.
So
Tommy
no,
T.
I have wanted to ask Sepiol a little bit about that. It's a very obvious yet under the radar rivalry with Tommy Tatro you got going on there. I'm sure there's a great origin story.
Well, I think it goes back to 2001, late 2001, I believe.
With Tatro, 2001.
He and I took a vacation to Cancun, and we had like a little mini Olympics. We played basketball. We played.
Oh my God.
We played putt. We did a bunch of shit. Tennis, I think, was one of them. And I beat his ass in all of it. Like, he didn't have a chance. And he's super competitive.
Yeah.
So I think it started then, to be honest. He's never gotten over that. And my first championship was against him, and it went, it was a tie and went to the bench. That had to piss him off, which is awesome. So I think it was just tailor-made for the two of us.
So you guys kind of had like a little decathlon in
The
Cancun.
Laugh Olympics.
We did.
in
We did.
Cancun.
We did.
Amazing.
I wish I had some of that shit on tape because I bet that was amazing.
It was amazing. And he got on the plane back to Chicago with his dick between his legs. Man. It was great.
I can't wait to hear his version of this story. I bet it's different.
Oh, I'm certainly, I'm sure.
That's fantastic.
All right.
But I love the rivalry between us. I'd rather it be with no one else.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. You have any natural rivals, JMO?
I don't think so. I
Barry?
don't think so.
It's Carmel soccer for JMO, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Although Carmel won't play us anymore.
It's the incident on the basketball court, right?
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah. We can break that down later. Barry, any natural rivals in the league?
Well, it's of course the McDermotts. I mean,
You like to beat them? They like to beat you?
it goes beyond that. But yes,
I like it. I don't really have a rival that I know of.
I just like to beat everyone.
I did used to love to beat EI for some reason.
Everybody loves to beat EI.
Yeah, he gone. So, all right, let's. All right, so since the RFL is basically divided into two camps, for the most part, of Chicago sports and Indy sports, as far as our fandom goes.
don't forget about Ms. Wiki's Cowboys.
Oh yeah. What? Let's run through some of the anomalies in that. Ms. Wiki's Cowboys. Barry, can you take us through Tommy's allegiances, please?
Well, if we're going back to 1998, I think Michigan football was somewhere in there.
That's
But
right.
He still claims it.
Yeah, Sep, you probably know too.
I'm a Michigan guy. We were the only two, and then he left Michigan.
to go to the Gamecocks. So.
What a cock.
Yeah. Who else we got for Tommy?
Well, the usual suspects. The Bulls when they're good, the Nuggets when they are, the Bears, the White Sox, and the
Hoosiers.
Blackhawks.
Oh, he's a Hoosiers basketball fan.
Yeah, he's a Hoosiers fan.
Yep.
And then he's Blackhawks hockey, although he did claim the Colorado Avalanche Stanley Cup championship
Okay.
a couple of years back.
Yeah,
so
he's got one of the weirder resumes for fandom.
Yeah,
He
he has
does
more
live in
championships than anyone.
Yes, he does.
he's definitely the leader in the clubhouse.
Right. All right. So yeah. That being said, Boston or not Boston. Sorry, the Boston game's coming on. Indy, Chicago sports, always a point of contention in the RFL. Basically divided kind of down the middle, I'd say, because all you guys are from Crown Point, right?
Yeah. Except Weaver, but he lives in Chicago, so he's
Yeah. Weaver's South Bend. Is that where he's
South
from?
Bend-ish, right? Mishawaka-ish.
Elkhart.
Elkhart, that's it.
Yeah. Okay. Where Tommy came from?
Crown Point.
Crown Point. McDermott's Crown Point. Big Brain Crown Point.
Lake of the Four Seasons.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then most everybody else is Colts Pacers fans, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought we'd just talk a little overview discussion on Pacers Bulls. Just kind of compare, contrast our hopes and expectations for next year. We kind of broke our roster down last episode, but Seep, what do you think? What are you thinking for next year for your Bulls?
Well, I'd like to see Ball stay healthy. I was never a fan of his, but they were much better with him. I think we have a good roster. I really do. I hope there's not too many moves. I like our coach, Donovan. I just think, our problem in the playoffs this year, beside the fact we entered the playoffs under 500, so we weren't very good, we didn't defend anybody. Every loss we took that I saw or that I watched, which I do watch playoff basketball, we just didn't play defense. Lazy Stacy. Sorry, women.
Yeah, I think the Pacers have the same problem. Like, we can score with pretty much anybody. We can't defend anyone. I think you finished 10th, and that where the Bulls ended up, 10th?
10th, yeah. I think 2 or 3 games under 500
We
I
were
think-
right behind you.
per usual.
Easy.
I think I remember a Tommy Tatro text thread this year where you guys were up by 20 plus and ended up blowing that. That may have happened to us twice this year.
We were at that. I saw Danny and Barry at that game.
Yeah. Which game was that?
I think they were up. Bulls were up 23, and
Yeah.
we ended up winning.
Yeah.
I
Barry,
think we did that to them in Chicago too.
Twice in Indy, right? Barry, didn't we come from behind big time twice?
I don't know if it was twice, but it was definitely that one time.
Yeah, we did see you that night. I had a raw hamburger, I believe. If I
You
remember
did.
correctly. Yeah.
And actually, I took my daughter to her first Bulls game, even though it's a Pacers game at their place, not for our family. We
Your
were right
daughter was
behind you in
secretly
line,
rooting for the
and I didn't know it was you. And
being a Karen.
yeah, my 9-year-old was like, "This guy's all mad. Something's wrong with his burger."
It was raw. I mean, bloody raw. Thanks a lot, Bankers Life Fieldhouse, whatever you're called now. Ruoff Mortgage, Conseco Fieldhouse.
One of those.
Yeah.
You seem very disgusted
Oh
over
my
there.
God, it's-
You almost like batted the mic
It's,
out of the way.
yeah, it's just this
How
burger.
dare you?
I got a burger over here. You want one?
No, thank you. So Bulls. So I'm looking at their 2023-24 salary story here, and
Is Lonzo Ball still under contract?
he is for 2 more years. They're only paying him $20 million. If he's healthy, like Seep said, it would be that's a good contract for him.
Yeah.
And my favorite contract on your team right now is Alex Caruso for $9.4 million.
I love the
That's
guy.
a
man.
steal.
I love him too.
I love the guy.
He's basically who's the Will Ferrell character in Jackie Moon. He's a modern day Jackie Moon. He's amazing.
Yeah.
But here's what I know. Here's what really stood out to me. Nikola Vucevic is not on your team anymore. He's an unrestricted free agent. Did you know that?
I did not know that, and it's probably because I don't care. He should have been way better than he ended up being. He was advertised that way at the beginning of his tenure with us.
Gave up
And,
a lot for him, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
Hugh Gaze gave
Yeah.
up a ton.
He can
for
go fuck
Vucevic.
himself. As far as
Would
I'm concerned.
be Wendell Carter, Franz
Yeah,
Wagner,
Franz Wagner.
and this
right.
year's
Big
11th
thing.
pick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Franz Wagner for Vucevic would sting, especially for a Michigan fan.
Straight up.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
yeah.
a lot.
Yeah. So also going into next year, your Bulls, DeMar DeRozan expiring contract next year. Ball 2 more years. Caruso 2 more years. Patrick Williams, he's a nice player. 2 more years.
I liked White too.
Kobe White, he's
Yeah.
$9 million next year, but he's an expiring contract next year. Actually, that's a qualifying offer this year. Andre Drummond's on your roster. That's awesome for you.
Big player.
And that's about it. Your roster's pretty thin, honestly. Levine, DeRozan, Ball, Caruso, Williams, White, and that's kind of it. You don't have a lot of young talent, do you?
No, we don't. Billy Donovan, though, he only plays 9 players.
Regular season, though, you got to go 10, 11 deep.
You would think, yeah.
Unless you're, what's the Knicks coach?
Tommy Thibodeau.
Used to be the Bulls coach, yeah. Tommy T, he plays regular season 7-man
He
rotation.
does.
Amen,
He
everything.
does. But I'll tell you, the last time he was with the Bulls, we had the best record in the NBA and pissed down our leg in the playoffs.
Yeah, everybody's so
Blew-
tired.
Ruined Derrick Rose's career.
Yeah, it
They
did.
played him too many minutes.
Yeah. Okay. So that being said, and obviously,
Let me ask you though, as a
Go ahead.
Bulls fan, what do you think about Zach LaVine? Because he's one of those guys where you're like, is he good or is he not?
So I almost said something when his name was brought up, and I was like, fuck it, poor guy. He can, he'll go 35 one night with
Right.
10 assists and 6 boards, and he'll go 3.5 the next night. So I don't think his heart's in it, but he gets hurt as well too. I'd like to see him for a full year. I don't know if he's ever had one. But if he goes after his contract, I'll be fine. I mean, we're Chicago sports, right? So we do really well for 3 years in a sport, and then we jack everything up draft-wise, free agent-wise for like 12.
Right.
So we're headed there right now. So we got 1 more year. I think we can make a run in the playoffs. I don't think we can contend, but I think we can get to round 2 certainly next year. I'd be happy with that as a Bulls fan.
Yeah. I think we talked about Pacers getting to 6, where you don't have to do any of the play-in. Like that would be a great season for us next year, just to get some of those young guys. We have some experience.
I think you guys have a better shot at doing that than we do.
I'm glad to hear you say that because I agree. I didn't want to be like super fan saying nah, but I do agree because Levine is he's your foundational player. Looking at your roster,
Right. And
unless
he'll
you
be gone
consider-
in 2 years.
DeRozan maybe, but
They got to re-sign him. He's not
DeRozan
going to
too
re-sign.
old to be your foundation.
And he wants a championship. So
yeah. So yeah, Levine is your. I guess I didn't really think about it or realize it, but he's your foundation because he's $40 million next year, $43 million in 24, $45 million in 25, and $48.9 million in 2026.
That's a lot of money for Zach LaVine.
That's what Halliburton's next contract's going to look like, though, too.
But that's
But
Halliburton.
it's Halliburton.
Yeah, give me Halliburton over LaVine. Not only is Halliburton better, he's younger. I think our young talent too, compared to the Bulls, is much different in my opinion. I love Matherin. I don't know that you guys have a young guy that's similar to Matherin.
I love him too.
Nimberhard is underrated for us, I think, and he's going to be a second-year guy. And then I read today we're definitely looking to trade up in the draft, looking to try to get to 2 or 3.
Oh, did you?
I did.
Yeah.
Because we have 7, 26, and 29. I don't know. I think they're trying to get the kid from Alabama, which at 6'9", playing a wing or power forward for us would be pretty nice.
I would love to get Scoot, man.
We
You're
don't
not going to
need a
get
guard.
that kid from Alabama, right? He'll be gone.
If we get the second pick from Charlotte, because Juan Benyama's 1.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
But then there's talk of us trading. I like it.
Let's do it.
Too
it's-
early?
Fair point.
It's a constitutional carry.
Too early.
Now there is no law other than you may carry.
I was thinking of something gun-related today that Anthony Richardson changed his number from 15 to 5. I think it's so he doesn't have the nickname AR-15.
Oh my, that's
That's smart by him. You should be happy about that. If
It
that's
does-
really
I
what it
mean,
is.
Yeah.
In
I don't-
2023, it is a good move.
I don't
by
think it's a
AR.
big deal. The nickname never bothered me, but there's people out there that it does.
Yes.
So
A lot of people.
preacher hype man.
yeah, I think that's a good thing. Yeah, but the Pacers will be better than the Bulls. I don't see the Bulls having a shot at a 6 at the end of next season. So I mean, we'll be playing dudes, in my opinion. I hope not. I think we have enough talent not to be, but your young talent is great. The problem with the Pacers is and always will be, once the rookie contracts are up, they go.
Nobody wants to.
Nobody
be
wants
here.
to live here.
I. That's why I'm kind of in love with Halliburton. I can see that being different with him.
Right. I think Halliburton stays. He's an Iowa kid. Like
Yeah,
Indianapolis
hopefully.
is a big city for him.
Hopefully he does.
Yeah, I think he's locked into India. You could see it in his interviews and things that he talks about. I mean, we traded Sabonis for him. I think he realizes that is not a small thing we did, but
We have faith in him.
I think he's the kind of guy that would be locked in no matter where he's at, and that's just fine with me because he's here.
right.
Yeah, no doubt.
Hopefully he has a chip on his shoulder. Sabonis had a great year.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think Pritchard and the Simons will give him the keys to the car too. It's the thing. Like, isn't he the kind of guy, in your opinion, that you just trust fully and be like, "This is your team," and he'll have just a lot of power and sway. So that's got to be attractive for an NBA player. This is my team. If he goes somewhere else, maybe he'd have that, but I'm just hoping and praying that he stays here. I love him. I love his demeanor. I love his attitude.
Yeah.
And he's such a creative, he's got to be fun to play with, as another NBA player.
Oh, he gets everyone involved.
Right.
That's for sure.
So do you watch Pacers at all, or you're just a Bulls guy?
A little. I'm just a Bulls guy. Really, the NBA sucks in the regular season for me until the playoffs.
I love
There's
that.
too many games.
Yeah,
There's
I
too
love
many.
that grind. That's part of what I love. Is just kind of the day-to-day grind and the managing of the rosters and the rotations and just the finding out what you've got. I like all that. But Barry and I have season tickets, so I kind of have to love the grind, right? I spend the money, gotta love it. But
Yeah, I do root for the Pacers. I follow a little. I have to know when they're on TV, when the restaurants have to play them, and when indie sports, no matter what the sport does well, we do better. So,
Right.
It's a business decision. You are welcome on the bandwagon, the Indianapolis sports bandwagon, for business reasons.
well, I don't
No-
think I
no worries.
call it. I'm on the bandwagon. I mean, the way I look at it is the Pacers are paying me when they do well. So,
Will it break your heart when your kids end up being Indianapolis sports fans?
At least two
they
of
never
them.
will. They
We
won't.
shall
Ask
see.
any of them. Call them right now. Call my 9-year-old right now.
ask my mom.
How much do you like the Pacers? How much do you like the Colts? She'll probably say a cuss word.
Cuss words.
So damn much? Is that what it would be?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably say, how much does your mom like the Pacers? That's what she would say.
I would say she's a super fan.
Our mom is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our mom's a degenerate fan. Like, she's as codependent on it as we are, I think.
Agree.
She literally calls Peyton Manning her third son.
I do like him.
Yeah, class act. By the way, audience, Barry is wearing the number 44. It's a famous jersey. It's the Dallas Clark from the Super Bowl year.
Who did we beat in that Super Bowl?
Devin Hester ran that opening kickoff back.
Oh,
In my mind, I wasn't watching it with any Bears fans, but I imagine them all were doing like the home run. They were all jumping up and down like they did a home run in front of the TV.
I was in Lexington. Brain and McDermott's came down to watch that and stayed the weekend at the house.
oh wow.
Thank you for confirming my dream, Sepiol.
Yeah, no problem. There's a story about that night, or the night before the Super Bowl, Saturday night. I had a regular at one of the restaurants down there who owned a strip club, and it was the best strip club in town. So Jen and I would hang out there quite a bit because they'd send a limo to the house, take us there. We didn't pay for anything. And so we're like, hey, you want to go to the strip club? And, of course, Brain was like, let's roll, And,
You guys don't know Big Brad. Old school Big Brad. Oh,
We
yeah.
throw down?
A little bit.
That limo came, and we went to the bar. There was a fight too. There was a heavyweight fight on, and they had the fight on that night.
Had to be Lennox Lewis at that point.
Yeah, probably. We got hammered. Limo takes us back. It stops in front of my house. Brain pukes in the limo before he gets out.
Yes.
The car's already
How
stopped.
have I never heard this story before?
Love you, Brain. You know this is coming out. And then Jen made chicken tacos the next day. We watched the Super Bowl, and that kickoff happened, and I could not believe it. I hated the Colts back then. Still do, really, but
But I did not have a business.
right,
That
that's
was-
correct.
The revenue
correct.
stream was not there at the time.
Yeah, and about 4 minutes into the third quarter, we kind of all knew it was over.
Yeah.
So
That was
when
the
Bob
Rex
Sanders
Grossman.
Ruined Cedric Benson's
yeah,
career.
and I will tell you
Ted.
that was, and I don't know a bigger Bears fan than myself, and all the other guys in the league will say the same thing. I think that Bears team was the worst football team to ever play in a Super Bowl. That's my opinion. They had no business being in that.
That
Super Bowl.
or the 85 Patriots were not awesome either.
Well, you don't know that because the 85 Bears were so good.
True, on both accounts.
The 85 Patriots were rough.
Are we really talking about the Rex Grossman factor right now?
Bloomington South kid. I'm just
Santa
saying.
Claus, Indiana.
No, that's Cutler.
Oh, that's Cutler.
We're so good. That was our best quarterback ever in our history. Was Jay Cutler.
Gosh.
Wow, that's brutal.
He married a smoke show, though. You got to give him that.
They're not married
Yeah, I
anymore.
was gonna say they're
I know.
divorced now.
You got to follow him on Instagram. He's got the school pickup line stories. Have you guys ever seen this?
Uh-uh.
He's a funny dude, man.
Oh, I
Yeah.
can imagine.
Follow him on Instagram, and he starts videoing when he's in the school line to pick up his kids. It is the greatest thing.
Okay,
It's
that's awesome.
It
Let's
sounds
check
like
that
a
out.
creeper to me. Kind of looks like one too.
Yeah.
He's the kind of guy that he's fun to party with.
Oh yeah. He
Absolutely.
throws down. There's no doubt.
All right, let's talk. Since we're on the topic of the Bears now, and Colts. Let's talk Fields Richardson. Kind of feel like we're similar styles, right? Running quarterback, maybe not the best throwers. We don't know Richardson yet. We haven't seen him in the NFL, but Fields seems like he was starting to develop. What's your expectation and opinion of him so far?
Well, as a Bears fan, the jury's still out for me. But I'll tell you the things I like. He keeps a good head about him. He doesn't seem to get too excited or too upset when things go good or bad. I always like that in a quarterback. That's why I like Peyton Manning so much. I'd like him to run less. I don't need him to have 1,100 yards in rushing every year, although it's fun to watch. I do think he has all the throws in him, but from what I've seen so far is he throws them at the wrong time or to the wrong people. So that's got to change for me. Granted, we had a horrible line. He was sacked over 50 times last year. I think the most in the NFL. But his stats in the NFL career are really similar to Richardson's 24 games in
college.
college. So when you said they're similar game styles, I mean, I think they're exactly the same. The difference that I've seen, and even though yards per attempt is pretty even for both of them, Fields takes more shots downfield. So he'll throw the 55-yard pass a lot more, but he'll also throw the screen a lot more.
Right.
Whereas Richardson likes to hit guys over the middle or outs. For some reason, he likes throwing like 15-yard outs, and that's not an easy throw. But he doesn't throw as many of the deep balls, even though he'll enter the NFL with one of the best arms in the NFL.
Right. Yeah. Power-wise, right?
Right.
Just, I think Fields and Richardson, it's just accuracy is the skill they need to hone.
Yeah, the accuracy is where they both struggle. Just looking at them, and I agree. I don't know that any quarterback in the NFL can run consistently for 1,100 yards and stay healthy. Like you saw Fields at the end of the year, he was struggling a little bit. He missed the last 2 games.
Yeah.
And did he come back for the last game? I can't remember.
I don't remember either. I don't think he did, but if he did, he shouldn't have.
But I mean, look at Lamar. Like he ran and he ends up missing a ton of games. Like Richardson is much bigger than. Like I think he's 25 pounds bigger than Fields even. But I still don't think you can. A human can't take that beating.
No, I agree.
And live through it to more than a season and a half, in my opinion. So they're going to have to learn to throw.
Yeah, and they invested in their line, so hopefully that's why. You know, if he runs for 1,100 yards again after they put all this money or trying to sign all these guys on their offensive
receiving core is much better now too.
Yeah, it is. Jury's still out on Claypool.
Right, but the guy from the Panthers, I can't remember his name.
Moore.
Yep, he's legit. Like he can play receiver. So
yeah,
DJ Moore.
Yeah. Well, our receiving core, I think, is better than the Colts. That helps. We have 2 years under our quarterback's belt. That helps. I think defensively, you guys have us. I think offensive line, you had us. I think maybe you still do after this offseason. Jury's still out on that.
we need a left tackle.
We did too.
Since Costanzo left, I think that's where the root.
Who is our left tackle?
I don't even know right now, honestly.
Bernard Ryman, maybe?
Yeah, you might be right, actually.
Fact
And
check
that the kid, is that the, we just drafted him?
No, he was on the team last year.
Okay. I thought we drafted a lineman. Jimmy Buckets.
We did draft a lineman, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure he'll be our starting left tackle.
Yeah, DJ Moore is that's a real receiver that you guys got for that trade. So that, I mean, if he doesn't, here's the thing: is he doesn't help Fields with DJ Moore, Claypool. Who's the other little slot guy you have? Mooney. Darrell Mooney. Yeah, if he doesn't help, then Fields is going to have to look in the mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the coaching staff screwed him up his first year as a starter, which was the year before last. I think it was the year before last. He has 2 years as a starter under his belt, not full, but they did everything they could to make it to where he didn't run at all. And his natural instinct is to move around. And I think your quarterback now, that's going to be his natural instinct. So once they opened him up a little bit and let him kind of ad-lib in the middle of plays, it did open up chances for us. But it's hard to tell what he can do as a thrower when the offensive line is that bad.
Right.
Moving around and buying some time is a lot different than running for 16 yards and getting smashed as you're diving for a first down.
Well, we didn't. We just had statues for the last couple of years that would just stand there and lose 15. Matt Ryan, I think, had more 15-yard losses than any quarterback I can ever remember. And it was always at a crucial part of the game, too, last year. Like, it would just infuriate me.
Yeah.
So I'm just glad to see we have somebody that can actually move and fluidly.
I'm so excited.
I always wondered, why didn't they do a one-off of the run and shoot with Matt Ryan? he didn't have an arm, but he had the accuracy and he had the brains to do the job. He can read defenses before snap. Why wouldn't they have changed their offense? They could have dink and dunk their way.
They did dink and dunk.
That's all they would do, but
I
he
heard
would hold the ball too long.
I heard a stat. I was listening to a fantasy podcast today, and Matt Ryan last year had the second least air yards per throw in the league.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's all we did was dink and dunk. It's in it. You
Huh.
can only.
Our
When you guys
line
were that
was
bad,
not
that's
good last
yeah.
year either.
Yeah. No, the Colts haven't looked good in a while.
Mm-mm. Yeah, I see. I'm looking at your Bears roster here. Got yourself a little Robert Tonyan.
Yeah, I know. I'm not mad about that.
No,
That's a
at
Danny
all.
fantasy favorite right there.
Yeah, he helped me win the championship. I mean, we don't need to talk about that again, but and then also looks like a Deontay Foreman is now your lead running back, huh?
Yeah, I don't know if he'll end up being our lead.
I bet so.
Yeah.
He had great stats.
He was good last year.
He was. So I like our running game.
Khalil Herbert.
Khalil
still.
Herbert's great.
He's a little scat back, right?
Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
yeah.
He'd be your third down passing back, 2-minute offense guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like what we have. We'll see how the line plays out. You know.
So what's your realistic expectation for next year?
8 and 9.
Yeah.
I'll go at 8 and 9. I think that's probably the best bet.
The North is kind of weak this year, right?
Well, I mean, Detroit is better than people think.
Detroit's
they put
good.
up points.
They're the sexy, like every if you're listening to stuff right now, podcasts and stuff, they're
Yeah.
kind of the sexy team.
Yeah. And you look, I mean, we got to go through Minnesota now, right? I mean, they're kind of legit in the NFC.
I made some bets a couple weeks ago, and Minnesota's plus money. Like they're behind Detroit to win the division. I'm looking at that. I'm like, I mean, I could see Minnesota easily winning that division.
I
so
agree.
I put a little
I think
taste on
we
that.
got to take that.
They left. They didn't get rid of Dalvin Cook, right? They still haven't
They
traded because
they
they've been
still
talking
haven't.
about trading him. If they keep Dalvin Cook, they're still going to be decent.
Yeah, because they got rid of Thielen and
Good move.
drafted. Didn't they? They drafted a receiver. I
They
believe.
did.
And so yeah, Jefferson, a new young receiver, KJ Osborne,
Still have
T.J. Hawkinson.
Right, Hawkinson is a good player.
Yeah,
He is.
I'll race you guys in the fantasy draft to get that guy. Like I love him. I think he's a beast. But you'll have to pick him early in the
Yeah.
RFL.
It's amazing how tight ends have changed for the RFL.
Mm-hmm. Point per reception makes a
Right.
big difference.
Yeah.
Smoke screen. No, that was not a smoke screen. I do love smoke screening in the RFL though.
Everybody knows your smoke screen, so it's not
Yeah.
like you're tricking people.
Yeah. All right. What's our expectation for our Colts, Jameson? What are you thinking?
I'm pretty similar to Sepiol, probably 8 and 9. I think our defense has a chance if everyone. Again, it comes down to health with us. If everyone stays healthy, I think our defense is going to be damn good.
What's Shaq Leonard's? Do we know?
I don't know. For as far as I know, he's ready for preseason. I doubt he plays at all in the preseason, but training camp for sure. But I think if our defense stays healthy, they're going to be good. And if we can run the ball, which we should be able to with Taylor and Richardson. I mean, we also have Gardner Minshew. I think he's above average, honestly.
Do you see a scenario where you guys are playing both quarterbacks in a game?
Wouldn't surprise me. We ran some wildcat type
Right.
weird things, especially when you get to the goal line. Like, why not bring in the 6'5", 250-pound dude to run that like that, or the Jalen Hurts 4th and 1? Like, I would see us bringing Richardson in on all of those.
Right.
But I think Gardner Minshew could get us some wins because I think people underrate our receiving core. I love Alec Pierce. I don't think Matt Ryan could get him the ball. I love Michael Pittman, and Preacher Hype Man Josh Downs should be somebody that can hopefully take the top off, because that's where we've been missing, is we didn't have anybody that would get behind anyone.
And you guys need a tight end too, right?
I think
We
they
had
have
a t-
about 7 of them on the roster.
We had
Well, right.
we
Which
had a
means you
tight
need a
end we
tight end.
drafted last year that got hurt in the preseason. I think it was what is that guy's name? Please hold. But he was supposed to be pretty legit, if I remember.
Yeah, we did draft a tight end pretty early last year, didn't we?
Was it Andrew Ogletree?
Yeah. He's not panned out so far.
His
What's the
name
big
sounds
kid
like
from
he'll be good.
Kentucky that we have? He's a couple Jelani Woods or something like that.
Jelani, correct.
Yeah, he's a.
Mo Alley's still around.
He
too,
ended up.
so.
He ended up being one of Matt Ryan's favorite targets actually last year towards the end. Don't sleep on old. What's our Cincinnati Bearcat receiver? God, Pierce.
Yeah, Alec Pierce.
Alec Pierce. Yeah.
He is good.
Yeah.
I like him.
Yeah. He's poor man's Adam Thielen. Speaking of Thielen.
Problem is, I don't know. I
Is
don't
that
know if
another smoke screen? Or did I miss that conversation?
No.
outside of Pittman, from fantasy relevancy, I don't know if the Colts really have. I don't know that I would take any of your receivers too early. I
Pierce-
like Pittman a lot.
Pierce late.
Late.
The new
yeah.
kid, Josh Downs, is a lottery ticket.
And just your quarterback's going to run, right? He's going to, I mean, if he ends up starting week 1, what's he going to have? 670, 700 yards rushing?
Agree.
So,
Yeah, I won't be surprised to see Minshew start the season. I kind of hope not. I would love to see Richardson right out of the gate, but the Steichen is, that'll be up to him, I'm sure. But I would love to see.
Ursay wants him to play. He said we
Right.
didn't. Ursay definitely wants him on the field.
I'm reading an article here where it says that Shaq Leonard should be ready for the beginning of the season. Fully healthy, ready for the beginning of the season. So that's good. That's important. Because if he's full health again, like he was just such the heart and soul of our defense, and we were nasty good at one time, and then he goes out, and all of a sudden it's different,
I actually think if things go right for the Colts from an injury perspective, your division kind of sucks
Open.
too, right?
The Jaguars are going to be good.
Yeah.
But they are the Jags.
Right.
Come on.
It's kind of it's.
They are the
Automatic,
Jags
that's
who
how I
almost beat Kansas City in the playoff.
That's true.
And they picked up Calvin Ridley, who will be Calvin Ridley is a good receiver, and they struggled in the receiver area. Like, who was their guy? Marvin Jones?
Zay Jones, Marvin Jones.
Yeah.
What did Ridley do? Was he gambling or something?
He was betting on the NFL.
That's awesome.
Yeah, great idea. Same with the Lions receiver who's going to miss the first 6 games. Jameson is his last
Williams.
name? Yeah, Jameson Williams. He's going to miss
Yeah.
the first 6 games for the Lions.
I think he bet on other sports.
He was betting on other sports in the Lions building.
Right, exactly. There was a couple other guys that got suspended full year because I think they were betting on
Football.
football.
Could they bet on Canadian football?
No, they're not allowed to bet on any sports.
Really?
That's my understanding.
Not in the facility. No NFL football at all.
Is that what it is? So, like basketball, they could bet on if they were at home.
Outside of the facility, correct.
Okay. Interesting.
I wish you wouldn't have given away that Jameson Williams nugget, so anybody listening to this now is...
Yeah, won't draft him.
Yeah, Sepiol was planning on taking him in the 6th round, I think, so...
Sneaker. Yeah. All right. Well, fellas, any more Colts, Pacers, anything you wanted to add, or we've been ready to wrap it?
The Colts are plus 12,500, right? To win. Oh no, plus 50,000
To win a Super
to
Bowl?
win the Super Bowl. I think.
Yeah.
Really?
Bet $1 on that.
Huh.
Why not? Right?
Yeah. Every year, some weird team makes it to the playoffs at least, and then, like last year, Jacksonville was kind of the sneaker team that made it. I don't know. I don't know what to expect from Trevor Lawrence. Like, what they rattled off 5 wins in a row last year, won a playoff game. Like, he might actually just be here.
They won.
Oh no, the Colts are 12,500. The Pacers were plus 50,000
Yeah,
for next season.
they
That's
usually
what it
are.
is.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Well, Seep, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate your RFL stories and insight, and Yeah, well, you'll definitely have to come back on again throughout the season. Anytime you want to come down and break down the waiver wire with us, by all means.
Yeah, thank you.
And then tell us, before we go, tell us how the restaurant's going. Give us the kind of the rundown of, I think you have 2 now, right?
Yeah, we have one in Brownsburg, one in Zionsville. They're doing well. They're Chicago restaurants, full bars, and it's busy time. It's nice outside and a lot of walkers, a lot of drinkers. It's a lot of fun. So I work a lot
Outside seating,
now.
right?
What's that?
Is there outside seating?
In Brownsburg, not in Zionsville.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So-
awesome. I've eaten at one of them, and it was absolutely delicious. So,
Any
yeah.
designs on a third location?
No, actually, we're not going to open anymore for a little bit, or we're not going to look into it anymore for a while. We just signed a deal with a company. We're going to try and get our Italian beef mass-produced by co-packers and
Nice.
either grocery shelf space it or wholesale it to like Gordon's Food Services and U.S. Foods.
It's a baller move.
So
I love
we'll
it.
see.
Is there
Must be a baller.
Giardania on it or on the side?
No, well, we're working through that. So we are looking at kits where you can buy the whole thing, including bread,
Yeah.
everything frozen.
Kind of developing the idea right now.
Yeah.
I love it.
Company called Next Up Brands. That's just what they do, and they
Uh-huh.
they have a big relationship with co-packers all over, so they feel like this is something that can be done.
That's
We'll
awesome.
find out.
Third location, Southside needs more restaurants.
Not
Yeah.
going to the south side. It's too goddamn
Southside,
far.
baby.
Yeah.
You would have to tamp down the Chicago fandom a little bit in
Yeah.
a Greenwood
Little bit.
location.
This
but
is
yeah.
diehard indie
That's
down
not
here.
that's not gonna ride down here.
Well, I'm not going to serve any. What's the Indiana sandwich?
You
Pork
need,
tenderloin.
You need
Pork
that breaded
tenderloin, yeah.
tenderloin on the menu, man.
Yeah. I personally like mine grilled. I'm just saying, grilled
Ah.
pork tenderloin.
That's very
You
un-Hoosier
probably
of
leave before the game's over too, don't you?
Depends on how mad I am, or
Arrive in the second quarter, leave in the third.
no. I like to get there early. Barry's arrive after Anthem guy.
Oh no, early. I'm an early guy too.
Me too.
You get there when you get there.
Right. All right. Well, I think that'll wrap it up for tonight. Anybody have any final parting shots?
Well, thanks CPO for coming
Yeah,
down.
I'd like to say thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun, and I enjoy listening. Hopefully, you guys keep it going.
Yeah. Go Colts. Go Pacers. Out.